Hello, good afternoon. My name is Rodney Allen. My company is Rodney Allen and Associates LLC. I am an occupational safety and health consulting firm. Safety and security are my key words. You can take any adjective and put it in front of safety and security, and you got me, Rodney Allen and Associates. My associates are a team of crackjack professionals that have master degrees or PhDs standard. Number one, if you have a master's degree, when you come aboard on my team, in 30 days or less, you have to be in somebody's PhD program. And I will pay for that PhD program, whether it's $60,000 or $50,000, it doesn't matter. All I require from you is 2 years of service, loyalty. That's all I require. Now, the topic today is a competent strategic thinker is a valuable and rare skill. Now, as I go through this talk, I want you to keep two things in mind, in the back of your mind. Number one, you got to have the curiosity of an 8-year-old. And number two, you have to love to learn. If you got those two skills, you are a world-class 21st century knowledge worker that cannot be stopped. If you ever heard, when I was 5 years old, I read the book Curious George. You got the book Curious George Goes to the Museum. Curious George Goes to School. Curious George got involved in everything. He got in a lot of trouble, but he learned and he grew. That's a lesson to be learned. Now, a competent strategic thinker is a valuable and rare skill. What that means, why do companies go out of business? Why do they lay off workers? Why do they make bad hires? Why aren't they making a profit? It's because they do not have competent strategic thinking and planning going on. At the end of this hour talk, I would give you the actionable skills, the knowledge, and the wherewithal to be a competent strategic thinker, and you will be forever employable, and you will be forever, if you get into management, we talk about theory X, theory Y, and theory Z. I'm a proud proponent of theory Z coming out of Japan. The Japanese at one time guaranteed every worker lifetime employment. Well, a competent strategic thinker guarantees you lifetime employment, regardless of what's going on around you, what the circumstances, what the conditions are. It does not matter. Once you have these skills and these actionable knowledge items, you will be a more powerful, more knowledgeable, and more energetic person than anything that's ever been created on this earth. What I'm looking at is a strategic, competent, strategic thinker. I'm looking at the creation of value. For example, if I take $1, I borrow $1 from you. In 30 days or less, I'm going to give you $3 back. If I borrow $1,500 from you, in 30 days or less, I'm going to give you back $4,500. Not 10%, which is what the traditional way has been. I'm not going to give you $1 and then give you $1.10 back in a year, in 6 months, in 3 months. I'm talking about 30 days or less, giving you 3 times what I borrowed from you, thus creating exceptional value. And that's what I do. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a social entrepreneur. And what that means is I'm the best problem solver the world has ever seen. You give me a problem, and I will solve it, me and my team, in 30 days or less. We will design a program or a plan that will do this. And we would enforce and act the actionable steps and the written plan that's necessary in order to achieve these goals. We would do it one day at a time, and we will do it well, better than anybody in the universe could ever do. That's where I'm at. Now, to give you a little bit about my background, I was in the United States Navy and the Navy Nuclear Power Program. I don't know if you know anything about the Navy Nuclear Power Program, but there are 3 types of people that come out of that program: smart, brilliant, and genius. Well, I'm a genius. And as a result, I'm a problem solver. And once again, that's what I do. I get results. I get eye-popping results. I'm an action person. I'm not a paper person. That's why I hire an administrative assistant and pay them $50 an hour to do that work, to dot the I's, to cross the T's. That's why I hire the world's biggest law firms. So if I become litigious, then we tie it up, whatever we have to do. I don't worry with that. All I worry about is getting eye-popping, instantaneous, immediate results today, now. Now, I want to, as I go through this little talk, I want to indicate to you the importance of asking questions. Strategic thinking is going from a point of incompetency to competency. Strategic thinking is a if-then scenario. The secret to strategic thinking is you start the recovery before the actual event. That's the secret. We call it being proactive rather than reactive. I'm not interested in reactivity. I'm interested in being proactive, getting the job done quick and to the point and effectively. Now, I want to talk about the importance of what I call communication. There's a book that's out on the market, and you probably want to pick this book up. It's a very important book. It's called, what is it called? What is this book called? It's called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Dr. Travis Bradbury. This book is revolutionary. Emotional intelligence is more important than degrees, than knowledge, than education, than training, than experience. It is the most important predictor of success over any of that stuff. So I would ask you, go out and purchase this book. I'm not making a plug for it, but I'm just telling you what's what. In order to get you to be a competent strategic thinker, you need the tools and the toolbox to do these things effectively. And that's what I'm here today in this hour talk from 12 to 1 to get you to the point where you can do these things. Now, asking questions. People say, well, why do you need to ask questions? Well, you have to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. You have to put yourself out there in what we call vulnerability and shame. We go back to the self-esteem movement. Evidence has proven that the self-esteem movement has been a miserable failure. Dr. Brene Brown is the foremost world authority on vulnerability and shame. Now you say, why? You put yourself out on a limb. You put yourself out on a limb, you're a risk taker. What that means is that you have the opportunity, the same opportunity to get hurt or to feel love, to feel joy. Without putting yourself out there, you're not going to be alive. You're not going to live. And if you really want to be alive and live and be happy and not miserable, then that's what you will do. You will make yourself vulnerable. You will make yourself potentially shameful. You will go through all these different emotions, and you'll be aware of your emotions. You will be aware of other people's emotions. You will feel and sink in time in a sense of normacy and natural and a sense of oneness with nature. And that's what you're going to be. You will become real and you become alive. So once again, Dr. Brené Brown is the world's foremost authority on vulnerability and shame. I got some other people I want to talk to you about. Dr. Henry Mintzberg. He's got a PhD. He's got over 40 years of research under his belt. He's the world's foremost authority on business management. He's out of McGill University in Canada. This is what he says about leadership. Leadership is passé. Leadership just won't cut it. Leadership doesn't work. The new word, the new corn word, and it's not in the dictionary yet, but this is the first time you're going to hear it, and you better pipe up and take notice. The new word is communityship. You're dealing with the school district, you're dealing with the health system, you're dealing with businesses, you're dealing with nonprofits, you're dealing with everything that makes up a community. And you're getting everybody involved, engaged. The business model, the new business model, is collaboration will always beat competition. If you have a community of 500 people and you take a document and you put it in that community and you allow them to tinker with it, to massage it, to change it, to improve it, the final analysis, the final product is going to be something world class that could not be achieved by any one individual, no matter how talented or great they are. Just think about it. You had Darwin, you had Einstein, you had Newton, you had Faraday. Today, the only way that we make progress is what we call by team. And there's no I in team, there's no we in team, there's no us in team, there's no you in team. Team encompasses the world, everybody. Because where we're going, it's going to require everybody, no matter what status, what level, to be a part of the process and to have a hand and engagement and to be motivated to make a difference. Now, graduate school, the MBA program years ago, they said, what is the purpose of a company, of an organization? The purpose of an organization, they said, is to make a profit. Whether it's 2%, 20%, 300%, 1,000%, whatever. Well, I'm going to throw a twist in there. The purpose of an organization is to break even or to make a profit. When you're dealing with the government, I'm not going to gouge the government. I'm going to break even. And the reason I break even is because whether I break even or make a profit, it's a win-win situation. If you are an employee and you're making $6,000 a month, and if I can guarantee you for 12 months you're going to get your $6,000, isn't that a win? Do you care whether or not you made a 2% or 1,000% profit? What do you have to live with? How much do you have to live with? How much do you have to make in order to be successful? It's a personal thing. It's a matter of freedom, time, and money. I have a master's of business administration. I have training in economics, which is the science of scarcity. I have a training that is very unique. People are running around here talking about sustainability. Well, my concentration and my specialty, and I'll dare to say I'm the best in the world, is sustainability management. I put together a sustainability plan anywhere from a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, it does not matter. And I guarantee you, it will be eye-popping. It will blow your head off. That's what I do. I get the job done. I oversee the whole project. I bring aboard qualified and competent professionals who are degreed, who have been trained, who have been schooled. And I look at 3 areas. I look at savings, I look at investment, and I look at profit making. My main goal and primary goal is to make money. I am a paper chaser, a money go-getter. My second goal is investment. And my third goal is savings. I do not work by the hour. I do not work by the job. I work by the percentage. Therefore, I'm not interested in activities. I'm not interested in counting beans. I'm not interested in counting paper clips. I'm interested in eye-popping results that are going to impact people's lives and make a difference and going to make people happy and going to improve their standard of living. I want everybody to have a great standard of living. It's what we call the American dream. The American dream for a lot of us has become the American nightmare. And nobody except me has figured out how to solve that problem. Now, I want to talk about another guy. His name is Clayton Christensen. He's a PhD. He's the world's top management thinker and author of personal philosophy. I think he's out of Harvard. Another guy is Richard, and Clayton Christensen has over 40 years of research. Evidential. This is evidential. This is about the numbers. Mathematics is the science of numbers, but mathematics is also the science of patterns. Now, we got a guy named Richard Rumett. He has a PhD. He's the president and founding member of Strategic Management Society and author of Strategic Management. I think he's out of UCLA or Stanford, one of those places. And then finally, I want to talk about this young lady. Her name is Carol Dweck. She's an expert in success and motivation. If you're going to look in a dictionary and if there's one word that you want to pen besides communityship, that word is yet. I cannot swim yet, but I'm going to hire me a swim coach. I'm going to go to the pool Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 10. In 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, depending on what I need, I'm going to become a world-class swimmer. Basically, I've gone from incompetency to competency. It's no problem looking stupid, dumb, ignorant, having people think you're crazy or whatever. It does not matter. What matters is I want to get to competency at whatever cost that's legal. That is also one of the big things that I know from studying in graduate school is what we call ethics. Ethics is very important. And another thing that I noticed with Enron, WorldCom, Tyco, greed. Greed gets you in trouble. Getting greedy, you start down that slippery slope and you catch hell trying to climb back up that hill. Once you go down that slippery slope, it's almost to the point of no return. If you look at people who have committed scandals, sexual, physical abuse, or influence in the elections is because of a lack of a code of honor, a lack of ethics, a lack of being or not being greedy. Those three things will cause the downfall of any individual. So, there's 8 secrets to great communication. You got to speak to groups as an individual. You got to talk so that people will listen. You got to listen so that people will talk. You got to connect emotionally. You got to have ready body language. You got to prepare your intent. You got to skip the jargon. And you got to practice active listening. In other words, instead of me thinking about what I'm going to say to you after you finish, shut the hell up and just listen until that person is done. And then comment. That is a very difficult thing to do. Extremely difficult. A lot of people don't have that skill. They got to jump in and not let the person talk from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. Great leaders. I'm going to talk about 1, 2, 3, 4 great leaders. Steve Jobs of Apple. Alan Mulally of Ford. Eric Schmidt of Google. And Jack Welch of General Electric. What did all these people have in common? They had, or they worked with an external coach or advisor. You must have, in order to be successful, a mentor or somebody guiding you as you move forward in life. Somebody that you could bounce your ideas, your thoughts off of to get clarity and to get it ringing back to you true. Now, people will have problems with, the question is life fair or unfair? Well, my answer is, after careful consideration and thinking about it, life is unfair. So what? Get over it and move forward. Pick it up. Be positive. Be successful. Think about what you're doing. Listen to yourself. Listen to other people. But at the end of the day, you make the decision. Nobody else. After you've gathered all the information from all the experts, and I'm not talking about dragging this thing on. I'm not talking about procrastination. I'm talking about you're under the gun. You got a time limit. If I was a vampire and I was going to live to be 180, 160 years old, I could drag my feet. But according to actuary science, a baby born today is going to live to be 100 years old. If you're 24 years old right now, that means you got about 60, 70 years to live. If you're 58 years old right now, that means for a black man my age, 54, that means that actuarially, I got 24 years to live. I don't have that much time. I don't have time to mess around. I don't have time to play around. I got to be on point and get the job done quick and effectively. And that's what I do. Six steps to clear communication. Identify the desired outcome. Choose the best model of communication. Consider your tone. Identify potential barriers. Check for understanding. Check, but verify. Ask for feedback. Six steps to communications continued. These are the barriers that you have in communication. Any communication you have, these are the barriers. You have biases. You have cultural differences. You have accents and regional variations. You have existing relationships. You have assumptions on both sides. You have defensiveness. You have stress, distorted perception, past interaction, self-esteem, environmental distractions, timing of the conversation, information overload. Different communication and personality styles. If you've ever felt a disconnect with your coworkers, maybe you're not speaking each other's language. Different personalities have different ways of communicating. And by better understanding of yourself and others, you can become a more effective team. I emphasize team. Back in the 70s, Dr. Robert, what was his name? Robert Tuchman. Dr. Robert Tuchman. He has a BA in psychology. He has a master's in psychology and has a PhD in psychology. He came up with, in the 1960s, he came up with the 4 steps in team building. You cannot short circuit these steps. You cannot bypass them. Only thing you can do, you can accelerate them, you can slow them down, you can whatever. You can pause them, but you cannot sidestep these steps. And I'm going to give you the steps that he have. When you first start a team, we call forming. Then, when you first start a team, you have personality conflicts, slamming doors, jumping off tables, people yelling at each other, people disagreeing. That's called storming. Then you have what we call norming. After a while, people settle down, you get to learn each other, they know each other, whatever. You go out to a few ball games, you drink a few beers, you go to a restaurant, you get an environment, relax, you do whatever. And whatever you know to really pull those layers from that onion to understand exactly what is inside the onion. What is the inside like? So I got forming, storming, norming, and then finally I got performing. Performing is, this is where you're going to improve your performance. You're going to really be clicking on all 8 cylinders. Everything is going to be going on. And then in 1975, Dr. Robert Tuchman came up with the final one. He called it adjournment. What is adjournment? Well, you got alpha and you got omega. You got a beginning and you got an end. So what that tell you? In any team or any relationship, you're going to have a beginning and an end. If you don't prepare for the end, then you are being seriously foolish and unrealistic. Because when people separate from a team, they have a sense of loss, a sense of death, a sense of depression, a sense of whatever. So basically, you got to have an exit strategy. You got to understand what phase, what life cycle you are in and you are at, and you must act accordingly. Not according to your personal feelings. I don't make things according to my personal decisions based on my personal feelings. I make business decisions, period. Not because I like you. I make decisions based on what value can you create or do you create. And I believe in creating eye-popping results. Once again, I borrow $1 from you, you get $3 back in 30 days or less. I don't know anywhere in the world where you're going to get that kind of return on your dollar. And not only that, you talking about 90% of the major corporations don't even make a 10 or 11% profit. And you're making $3 on the dollar. You just blew them out the water. There's nowhere that anybody can be based on technology, processes, and people can be as competitive on that level. I want to get you to the point where you can take $1,500 in 30 days, you can generate $4,500. If I pay you $1 million, there's only one requirement. And at the end of that year, you got to generate in sales and revenue $3 million for me. Otherwise, I cannot justify paying you $1 million. If you want the $1 million, and not only that, but I'm going to do something better. This is what they taught me in the military. You do not throw people away like Coke bottles into the ditch. You work with them. If you cannot do it on your own, I will roll up my sleeves and get in there and show you and do it, and you will become a better person. It is cheaper to retain you, to train you, than to fire you and to throw you away. I talk about sustainability and I talk about quality assurance or quality control. You do not make a profit if you have to do something 2, 3, 4 times. You only make a profit if you have to do it one time and one time right the first time. All this, I'm into Six Sigma, green belt, master black belt, Toyota, the Toyota method, whatever. Continuous improvement, total quality management. I'm into all that. Then once again, you have to be relative. Am I going to be Six Sigma making pencils, or am I going to be Six Sigma making 747 jets who are carrying 350 people, and once it goes down, you have a catastrophic failure? It's a matter of economics, the science of scarcity. Like I say, I'm not a vampire. I'm not going to live to be 140, 160. I don't have time to mess around. I got to be on point and get the job done. Recognizing and managing emotions. You must understand your own emotions and explain why they are sometimes so strong. It offers you practical ideas, and this is what we're talking about, the book, Emotional Intelligence by Dr. Travis, or Emotional Intelligence 2.0 by Dr. Travis Bradbury. How to recognize and control emotions and communication. What are emotions? Emotions are feelings. To start to understand your emotions, you need to ask yourself 2 questions. How do I feel? How do I know? But others also have emotions. At the same time as being aware of your own feelings, you also need to be aware of those of others. You also need to ask, how do others feel and how do I know? There are several ways that we can tell how others are feeling, but particularly by observing what they say and how they behave, including their body language. Research suggests that more than 80% of communication is nonverbal, meaning that it comes from body language and facial expression. Many of us don't like to talk about our emotions, especially not if they really matter to us, so they tend to be expressed even more in our body language. See page, whatever. I tell you what, if my mama died today, and I'm being a man, I'm a full-grown man, very capable, I'm going to cry like a baby, and I ain't going to give a damn who knows it. That's emotional intelligence. If I get married to the woman of my dreams, and she makes me happy on every turn and every dime, I'm going to be smiling from head to toe every day. That is emotional intelligence. It's appropriate, it's reasonable, and it makes sense. The power of asking questions. This is the key. I'm going to read this. This is very important. You talk about curiosity. You must have the curiosity of an 8-year-old. Assumptions are blown away. Whatever you assume that is basic, forget about it. Don't even entertain it. You can learn something from everyone if you're curious enough. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who only responded in 2 or 3 word sentences and you walked away feeling like you learned very little? The person might not have been intentionally giving you short answers. Perhaps you could have phrased your questions better. A lot of people fail to understand the power of asking quality questions. Quality versus quantity. What is a quality question? Any damn question you want to ask is quality, regardless of the reaction of the people in the room, on the phone, in the jailhouse, in the state house, or wherever. Ask your questions, put your feelings, your emotions, your vulnerability, your shame out there on the line. Live and don't die. One effective tip for asking stronger questions is to phrase questions in a positive tone, i.e. ask, how can I help with that, instead of what do I have to do? Framing things positively assures the direction of the conversation and leaves others with a pleasant memory of the exchange. I'm going to tell you this. The human mind naturally has a slight tendency toward negativity. That is something that nature built as a survival mechanism. Either fight or flight. That's what we do when you're in a survival mode. Now, you have to ask yourself and think about it consciously. Regardless of what situation or circumstances or environment you're in, you always have, number one, a choice. And number two, you are always, regardless of the circumstance, situations, whatever, you are always in control. Remember that. You must be the master of your own destiny and fate at all times. And if you're not, you need to be aware of that, and you need to make the necessary adjustments to get back on track ASAP. Listening matters. When we ask good questions, we are more likely to get a response worth listening to and answers that have valuable information for us personally and professionally. If you want to increase your impact and accomplish even better results, become a master at listening. Bottom line, when a person's talking, shut your mouth and listen until they're finished. And once they're finished, then you make comments. Not before, not after. If you do that, you will be a more live, powerful person, a powerful communicator, a better communicator. And I don't care how good of a communicator you are, there's always room for improvement. Because if you cannot improve, if you are perfect, as far as I'm concerned, you're dead or you're God. Your choice. The power of asking questions. A few years ago, Tony Jerry participated in a panel about the success with Zig Ziglar. These are motivational speakers. Dennis Waitley. This panel of very known motivational speakers were interviewed in Ziglar's studio by Gebhard Gowashing, another well-known motivational speaker. At one point during the interview, Tony reversed the question to the interviewer. Tony asked, "What do you think is the key to success?" Gerhard surprised me with his response, which was curiosity. There we go again. that 8-year-old that's curious, that's running around, tearing up stuff, down in the basement, making a cake. We hear explosion goes off. He comes up. He's got white powder all over his face. And we said, what happened? I was down there baking a cake and it blew up. All right, son. You all right? You're stronger? You lived? Drive on. Tony asked, what do you think is the key to success? Gerhardt surprised me with the response. This deserves a second go around, which was curiosity. He suggested that curiosity allows a person to ask questions, learn, and truly grow. You can learn from everyone. Being curious and asking questions can help you learn things you can use to create results faster. And that's another point. If you want to learn, you fail fast and you fail quick and you move on. I don't believe in mistakes. I believe everything has a purpose and a reason. Three levels of listening. Have you ever talked with someone who was present with you that it unnerved you? If you have, then you have been in the presence of a skilled listener. Listening is a skill that seems much easier to do than it actually is. Most people think they are good listeners, but few really are. Not surprisingly, the skill of listening is essential to good leadership. Once again, leadership is passé. The new word, the new genre, the new chant is community-ship. Faith-based groups, churches, schools, hospitals, businesses, nonprofits. Everybody got to come to the party and participate, roll up their sleeves, and contribute what they can do best that nobody else can do but them to make the outcome world-class and superior and to create value on such a level that the world has never seen before. Once again, I take that $1 for 30 days, I give you $3 back. Where else are you going to get that kind of return on your money? We talk about relationships, long-term relationships, building long-term relationships. The customer is so satisfied that they run to you to make these relationships. You could either do one or two things when you're dealing with a problem. You can run from it or you can run toward it. And I choose to run toward it at the biggest speed, the fastest speed, in the most violent way possible. I'm not running away from anything. Leaders who don't listen well don't lead well. But what is it to listen well? How do you do it? In my coaching, I found it helpful to divide listening into 3 different categories and have leaders focus on developing each, I'll say, community-ship. Focus on each developing skill until itself. These are the 3 levels of listening. Listening level 1, I also call listening to me. Listening level 1 involves simply noticing everything that's going on inside you during the conversation. Listening level 2, I also call this listening to you. Level 2 listening involves focusing your full attention 100% on the other person. I don't have no cell phone going on. I'm not texting. I'm not having a side conversation. I am focused 100% on you. That is true listening. Listening level 3, I also call listening to us. Level 3 listening is the practice of knowing what's happening in the space between you and the person or group you're talking with. You got to be aware of your environment, your surroundings. And you got to be in synchronization, in touch with that. Once you know the three levels, incorporating them into your life is simply a matter of practice. I don't believe in passion. I believe in logic and discipline. I believe that passion is overrated. There are three skills that we need: soft skills, hard skills, and emotional skills. Soft skills, an example: management, leadership, project management, writing, reading, mathematics. Hard skills: Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, SAS, SPSS, C triple plus, Fortran, Pascal, all that stuff. Visual. But I tell you what, your soft skills and your hard skills will get you the job or get you the position, but they will not keep you there. The thing that's going to keep you in that position and going to propel you to success is what I called emotional skills. If you don't have emotional skills, and the way to do it is go out today. You should have did it 20 years ago. Oh yeah, the book wasn't out 20 years ago. So a multimillionaire couldn't get it. But a vagrant or a poor man can get a Z-Pack because the technology is here today, present. The most expensive product is the product that's not available yet. Now, the part that facts and stories play in failed communications, the science of storytelling. While telling a story is the most powerful way to activate your brains, for over 27,000 years since the first cave paintings were discovered, telling stories has been one of the most fundamental communication methods. Our brains become more active when we tell stories. A story can put your whole brain to work. By simply telling a story, you could plant ideas, thoughts, and emotions into the listener's brains. Evolution has wired our brains for storytelling. A story, if broken down into the simplest form, is a connection of cause and effect. When we hear a story, we want to relate to it one of our existing experiences. Everything in our brain is looking for a cause and effect relationship of something we previously experienced. A story is the only way to activate parts of the brain so that a listener turns the story into their own idea and experience. 6 steps to effective communication. Effective communication is more than just the exchange of information from sender to receiver. Communication is a complex, two-way process. Thoughts and feelings need to be clearly articulated and shared for mutual understanding to be achieved. It seems simple. Speak, be heard, and be understood. But ensuring that understanding is achieved is actually an art. These are the 6 steps to achieving productive and meaningful communication every time. Number 1, identify the desired outcome. Number 2, choose the best mode of communication. Number 3, consider your tone. Number 4, identify potential barriers. Number 5, check for understanding. And number 6, ask for feedback. Now, one thing I want to say is that when you're dealing with people, you got 3 things going on. You got technology, you got people, you got processes. You must become what I call a learning development entity or a professional coaching student. You must become the student. If you want to learn something, you must become so engrossed in that item or that knowledge or that area or that expertise that you become the expert. You determine how fast you get there. If you're constantly thinking about something, turning it over. If you got two opposing ideas to hold in your mind or your brain, that is a very difficult thing to do. But once you match that skill, then it becomes through practice, like breathing. What is the definition of a skill? A skill is something you do with ease, something you do without thinking about it, something you do unconsciously, or you don't even, it's subconscious. I'll tell you, laziness by some people is viewed as a negative, but by me, laziness is viewed as a positive, because laziness indicates that you restrict your energy output. The best engineers are lazy. They're constantly thinking about, how can I do this faster, cheaper, least expensive, or more, how can I get more people to participate? That's lazy. You make a conscious effort to restrict your energy. You can control that. If somebody, the question goes back to why. If I can't get out of bed in the morning and you call me lazy, then that means my why is not big enough. And so what I do is, I go to my closet and I get me a 357 Magnum and come there and put it to your damn head. And then I say, if you don't get out of this bed, I'm going to blow your damn brains out. I wonder how fast you can move then. You have a different why. If something's not working, change it. If something's not working, make the necessary adjustments. Make the necessary, I tell you what training does. I've been trained as a chemist. What that does is, if you think back when penicillin was discovered, how was penicillin discovered? It was discovered by accident. Why was it discovered by accident? Because somebody had been trained and they saw something that was an anomaly, that wasn't right, that didn't make sense. If you see something that doesn't make sense, it's an anomaly. But the only way you can know it's an anomaly, it doesn't make sense, is you got to know how it is supposed to be. That is what training, education does for you. It takes a theory, allows you to understand the past, to understand the present, and more importantly, allows you to go boldly into the future and make accurate and 100% predictions about what's going to happen. A theory that does all those things will stand the test of time. It's a matter of time. It's a matter of rigor. It's a matter of a number of things. And that's why I love people with PhDs, because I know as a standard, as a basic minimum, they have stick-to-itiveness, perseverance, non-quitting, never stopping, never giving up, always understanding that time and patience will give you the results you're looking for. Once again, if you want to be employable for the rest of your life, I'm going to give you a couple areas to look at. I don't understand this one. This is kind of over my head, but the biggest area is what we call computer games. If you learn how to design computer games, you will never be unemployable. You will always have a job. The second area is cybersecurity. Security with any adjective in front of it is a bright future outlook, in demand. All the ones that I'm talking about are in demand, and they are or ensure and guarantee that you will never be unemployed. You will never have to worry about a job. And your minimum annual income will be $100,000 plus. Now, who can't live the American dream off of 6 figures or better? And the other area is the medical field. And the other area is the field that I excel in and that I feel I'm the best in the world. Nobody can touch me. Is negotiation, business development, and sales. Yes, I feel that way. So now, I hope that this talk has helped someone, and I hope that you take it back to your people, your personnel, and you train them, give them a little insight into what's going on, and improve their life, their standard of living, and everybody can once again achieve the American dream and forget about the American nightmare. I want to thank you again. My name is Rodney Allen. My company is Rodney Allen Associates. I'm a global occupational safety and health consultant firm. I take the word safety seriously, and I take the word security. And any adjective you want to put in front of them, I'm there. If I'm not there, my team is there. And if my team is there, in 1 hour to 2 hours I will become an expert at whatever I need to be an expert at. It doesn't matter. I don't care. All I care about is getting eye-popping, immediate, today results and making people's lives better and their standard of life far superior than anything that they could ever have dreamed or imagined. Thank you.